All right. So as Dick and Don was mentioning, this Sunday coming up, the second scrutiny, we'll be talking about the man born blind. Okay. As the catechumens and the elect were ready to process into the church on Sunday, I had to mention to them that we are not following the readings that are in the bulletin. Because when you have a scrutiny at a Sunday Mass, you always read the gospel readings from cycle A. This year we're in cycle C. So the rest of the church is hearing a different gospel than we're hearing. It's because these readings that we are listening to for the next 3 Sundays are important for all of us, but very important for the elect and the candidates that are going to be receiving sacraments. So that's why there's a little difference. If you're wondering, why are we not on cycle C like everybody else and the readings are not in the Bible? What I've done at Mass is I've gone to USCCB website on my phone, and you can find the daily readings there. You can find Sunday's readings there, and you can follow it there too. So that's what I did on Sunday, so I could follow. I'm a visual person. I have to see the words. I'm not one of those people that can just sit there and listen. I need to see words to make it make sense. Okay. Okay, it's not moving. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have Kim come up, and she has got a saint to talk about today. Actually, if you read today's readings, it was about Gabriel coming to Mary and letting her know that she is going to have a child. So this is another archangel. Gabriel is an archangel. This is a different one. This is my favorite one, though.
So what feast or what are we celebrating today? It's about Gabriel speaking to Mary. Think of the rosary, right? What do we call that mystery? The Annunciation. That's what we celebrated today in church.
It's all you.
Okay. Good evening, one and all. Hi. I'm happy to announce that you all came out of the woodwork last Tuesday night and you threw saint after saint after saint at me. I'm happy that you did it. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Next week's saint will be the last saint to wrap up 24-25 OCIA, because we have a lot else for you to do to prepare you for sacraments. Okay? So Liz asked to be told more about Saint Michael the Archangel, and you often hear in scripture that an angel delivered a message from the Lord, but they were only angels. There's only 3 angels that are named in the Bible, and they're the archangels, which was Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. Michael was, he shows up in the book of Revelations, and he has been the greatest prince who defends Israel against all of its evil enemies. And he leads God's armies to final victory over those forces. Devotion to Michael is the oldest angelic devotion within our Christian faith, and it really took off in the 4th century in the East. We started using it in the West in the 5th century, and at the time, they couldn't explain cause and effect. So they weren't sure what an angel was. It wasn't a person. It wasn't Jesus. It was somewhere in the middle. Now that we understand cause and effect, the angels don't mean as much until you think about it from a standpoint of faith, and that they're still very important to us in our everyday practices. So Michael is the patron saint against all first responders, firefighters, police officers, ambulance, whatever. He will protect you, and you pray to him often, and he's one that is almost chosen every year. It looks like he might be chosen again this year. Gabriel and Raphael were added to Michael's feast day in 1970. So the three saints are celebrated September 29th. That is their feast day. Are there any questions?
You forgot soldier.
Okay, well, Michael's going to talk to you about soldiers because I did forget the soldiers.
Yes.
You'll have to go look up the soldiers. Good evening, or thanks, guys.
I like Saint Michael because he's a fighter and he fights for truth and love and good. And so sometimes when I just feel like I need some strength, he's the one that is good for that. And no, they're not the Ninja Turtles. And all the kids go, oh, they're Ninja Turtles. All right. So today we're going to talk about the man born blind. All right. I want to just ask everybody who was there at Mass at 11 o'clock, especially our elect, how was the first scrutiny? What about the laying of hands? How did that feel? How was that? Anybody? Yeah.
It was emotional, but I have to admit, I am out of shape. I did not know it was gonna hurt me to kneel like that, so I'm gonna practice.
Repeat what they say so that.
Oh. Yeah, she was saying it was beautiful. She almost cried, but she didn't realize how out of shape she was because of her knees on the floor. Yeah. We do have some cushions, so we could loan out a few cushions, but
You should do that too.
yeah. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, for us growing up, you know, when I think over when I at Father Leon and everybody, and then, you know, it's like turn around and then face everybody. It's like you turn around and holy moly, there's other people out there. It's like, you know, that's like.
And they're praying for all of you. Yeah,
You're not thinking about.
no.
No feeling.
They are. Did anybody notice the bookmarks at the end of the pews? It has your names on it. And we pass them out. Oh yeah, they look like this. And what we do is we ask the church to take one and pray for you during Lent, during the rest of Lent. So they do that. And the 11 o'clock mass knows it every time, but we leave them out for all the other masses too. Okay. So this Sunday we'll have our second scrutiny. The elect come at 10:45. We process in just like we did last week. And it's the same thing. You will be called up. There'll be a prayer said over you, and then you will kneel and you'll get the laying of the hands. Do you know how wonderful it is for the laying of the hands? Because the only other time that really happens is when the clergy get ordained. They get laying of the hands of the bishop, and it goes to
Married. That happens.
oh,
The couple's married.
Mary. Okay, I didn't see that Saturday. Okay, so the man born blind. So let's just go just a little bit with our journaling. Let's start with that. Basically, what was your second full week of Lent like? So what I wanted to say, I heard this reflection this morning, and I thought it was pretty good. It was basically, how is your Lent going? How are your commitments coming along? Are you feeling like you failed? Have you felt like you had to start all over again? How many people are feeling that way? It's been tough. Yeah. I would say, look at that failure a different way. When this happens, accept the Lent God has given to you. If you've given up chocolate or alcohol or cursing or whatever it is, it was picked by you. But God might have another thing, a different Lent that he wants you to experience. So you might be experiencing illness. You might be experiencing stress, anxiety, loss. A whole bunch of different other things are happening in your life right now. Maybe this is God speaking to you that this is the Lent he wants you to go through. So accept those, accept the stress, anxiety, the illnesses. Accept those and then go with it. Maybe it's just he wants to have more prayer time with you. He wants you to take more deep breaths. He wants you to look outside the window and see a beautiful day. So accept those things that have changed during this Lent for you already. But go ahead and take a few minutes and let's journal how your commitment is. Okay, when you guys are finishing up your journal, why don't you share with your table? Share with them what is being successful during Lent and what are you having a harder time with, and support each other. This is why we're in a community. This is why we have a church, is to support each other. So support each other about what might be hard or difficult for somebody.
You?
Okay, I'm gonna give you guys one more minute and wrap it up.
My old man is just trying to run the rosary. Yeah. There's now, because of really nice stuff, and that's.
We all get.
Yeah.
The people at the tables are letting them talk.
I was noticing.
Thank you.
But it's neat because I've heard some people.
I heard people say, yeah, so maybe God's telling you you need to do something different if it's so hard, or have you thought about what God wants you to do? I heard that said twice. And then over in the middle table was one straight ahead with the glasses. Can never keep those one straight. She said, it dawned on me, it was said a couple of times, one of the good things to do during Let Us Go Back to confession. So though it's been so long, I did it. I went back to confession and it was great. Great stuff. Thanks for connecting.
All right. Let's bring it back up here. Boy, some great conversations going on. And I could hear you guys, everybody was kind of helping each other and supporting each other. And this is what it's about. This is why we do this together as a group too, to support each other and help each other. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to share from their table? You don't have to if you don't want to, but anything that anybody wanted to share or that came up? Okay. Good. All right. What?
Well, let's see, for the last, I've been doing this for quite a while now, probably a decade. And, this is the hardest Lent I've gone through. Only because I thought it was gonna be easy for me. Oh, yeah, I'll just do this and this and this and that. Doggone it, these last 2 weeks have been one of the toughest ones around, just because I'm now doubting myself. And as Deacon Don says, what is God really giving you? So now I'm kind of open to that.
Mhm.
And, that's kind of, guys, I thought I was not in control anymore. I thought I'd given up control. Obviously, I have a relapse. And so I have to give that up control. But I seem to be, after ignoring the way things should be in my head, I'm getting better. And I'm listening to these guys at this table and you guys on out there, and I'm going, okay, I can make the rest of this Lent. I can do it well. And I can probably be more successful than I've ever had before, but right now it doesn't feel like.
It happens to all of us, our old Catholics and all the new ones.
Yeah.
Every Lent is a different journey every year. All right, so what we're gonna do next is get into, we're gonna read the gospel that we're gonna hear on Sunday. And we're gonna do some Lexio with that and you in journaling, okay? So the two questions, and there's almost kind of three, two questions that you're gonna reflect. I'm gonna read a portion of the gospel and stop. And then you guys are gonna reflect on these two questions. The first one, what did I discover about Jesus in this passage? What does Jesus teach me about myself? And the third one is, imagine you are in a place of the man born blind. As you listen to Jesus, what do you need to learn from him? What do you need to accept from him? And if you look at these questions after, and then hearing the passage that I'm going to read, and nothing's connecting to you, do your own personal Lexio. Listen to a word or a phrase that pops out at you as I read it, and figure out, why is God making these words pop out at me? And then write that in your journal. So if you look at these questions and you go, oh, I'm not getting that, then think about what word popped out at you, okay? And do a personal Lexio in your journaling. All right? I'm gonna let you, some people are copying those questions, so I'm gonna give you guys a second there. They're gonna stay up there, so you can keep on looking them up and everything. Now, if you haven't figured out, the scrutiny readings are always very long. Growing up, I always knew when we were in Lent. It wasn't because the colors had turned purple or that we don't sing the Alleluia anymore or the Gloria. It's because the Gospels were always so long. At least we keep that tradition going. All right, are we ready? You guys are getting there? Okay, why don't you take a nice deep breath? Hold it for just a second and then let it out and just relax. This is a reading from the Gospel according to John. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "Neither he nor his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him. We have to do the works of the one who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. While I'm in the world, I am the light of the world." When he said this, he spat on the ground and made clay with his saliva and smeared the clay on his eyes and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed, and he came back able to see. So reflect off those two questions or do a lexio of a word or a phrase that popped out at you and write a little bit about that. Okay, one more minute. His neighbors and those who had seen him earlier as a beggar said, "Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is," but others said, "No, he just looks like him." He said, "I am." So they said to him, "How are your eyes opened?" He replied, "The man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and told me to go to Siloam and wash. So I went there and washed, and I was able to see." And they said to him, "Where is he?" He said, "I don't know." They brought the one who was once blind to the Pharisees. Now Jesus had made clay and opened his eyes on a Sabbath. So then the Pharisees also asked him how he was able to see. He said to them, "He put clay on my eyes, and I washed, and now I can see." So some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, because he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a sinful man do such a sign?" And there was a division among them. "What do you have to say about him, since he opened your eyes?" He said, "He is a prophet." So do some reflecting. One more minute. We will continue. Now the Jews did not believe that he had been blind and gained his sight until they summoned the parents of the one who gained his sight. They asked them, "Is this your son who you say was born blind? How does he now see?" His parents answered and said, "We know that this is our son and that he was born blind. We do not know how he sees now, nor do we know who opened his eyes. Ask him, he is of age. He can speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews. For the Jews had already agreed that if anyone acknowledged him as the Christ, he would be expelled from the synagogue. For this reason, his parents said, "He is of age. Question him." So a second time, they called the man who had been blind and asked him, "Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner." He replied, "If he is a sinner, I do not know. One thing I do know is that I was blind and now I see." So they said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I told you already. You did not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become a disciple too?" They ridiculed him and said, "You are that man's disciple. We are disciples of Moses. We know that God spoke to Moses, but we do not know where this one is from." The man answered and said to them, "This is what is so amazing, that you do not know where he is from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if one is devout and does his will, he listens to him. It is unheard of that anyone ever opened their eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he would not be able to do anything." They answered and said to him, We were born totally in sin, and are you trying to teach us?" Then they threw him out. When Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, he found him and said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered and said, "Yes." Oh, I'm sorry. He said, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him. The one speaking with you is he." He said, "I do believe, Lord." And he worshiped him. Then Jesus said, "I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind." Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard this and said to him, "Surely we are not also blind, are we?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have had no sin. But now you are saying, 'We see,' so your sins remain." Go ahead and do some reflecting. All right, we'll wrap it up in a minute. All right. So you notice that tonight we did it a little different than we did last week. Last week, we read the whole gospel and then had you reflect. This week, we kind of broke it up in a couple of spots to let you reflect. What did you think of either way? Which one was a better way? Did you like to hear the whole story all in one piece and then reflect? Or did you like it broken up a little bit? Broken up? No, you want the whole story? That back table. Okay, let's show our hands. Who liked it broken up? And who liked the whole story? Oh, okay. Because we have one more scrutiny to talk about next week, so. Okay, good. Well, it was something to try. We thought that we broke it up kind of how it's broken up in mass when they stop and they sing that one verse. That's what we got kind of were going for, but that's good. That's why we're here. Before we take a break, a couple of things. Remember second scrutiny this Sunday, 10:45 in the vestibule for the elect. Candidates come to be dismissed if you have not received your first communion. Remember, this Friday is our soup that we're leading for the Lenten soup night here in this hall. There's a sign up sheet back there. A lot of you guys have signed up already. Check and make sure what time you're going to come. You go ahead, even if the lines are filled and you want to come and help, put your name in and around there, that area, okay? We have 3 shifts. One's going to prepare the soup, one's going to serve the soup, and one's going to clean up from the soup. And then we can all go over to the church for the Stations of the Cross. And we can do that together as a group, okay? And then also there's a sheet back there that has all your names on it. Just check the sheet and see if your name is spelled correctly. And that's how you want it on your certificate. If it's different, then just kind of go across and then write your name, print it nicely so that we know how to print it on your certificate. And then before we leave, we have a special gift. The team got together and got a special gift for Patty. Patty's birthday was last weekend. And if you guys haven't met Patty's little dog, Tinkerbell was sick. And so we all got together and kind of helping Patty taking care of Tink. So Patty, happy birthday and take care of our little Tink for us. Tink is our mascot. So. All right, let's take a break for a few minutes.
Okay, give your attention up here. Diana already talked about the Lenten soup suppers. And there are 3 left. We host this week, and then you can see those ministries that are hosting for the next 2. You can meet people from our school community here. And the last one, our family faith formation group. So those are those who aren't in Catholic school, those families who are helping prepare their children for sacraments and forming them in the faith. So public school, children and their parents. All right, Diana also mentioned second scrutiny at the beginning. If you are a catechumen, unless there is some reason that's unavoidable, you really need to be at the scrutiny. So we had some people that missed last week, so I've been communicating with them to make sure they're here this week.
I've had one person come up to me and tell me they can't make this week, but they were here last week, okay? It is really important, and you might think, well, we're doing the same thing 3 times. Really? You really think that's what the Holy Spirit's doing, or that's what you're doing? You're being prayed over 3 times, but you're allowing the Holy Spirit in a powerful way to prepare you, to help prepare you, and to protect you between now and receiving Easter sacraments. And look at that. We know who was here last week. We have photographic evidence. Oh, it's time. Oh, yes, it is. We're down to 11, making some progress. Everyone accept? Now, don't question me. Make sure you understand what that means. B means we need your baptismal record. C means we need your first communion record. And S means we need 1 or more of your sponsors' records. If you think this is an error, you know who to talk to. The person who's doing her very best to keep track of all this, even though some of you are making it difficult by getting it in late. So don't blame her, but work it out with Diana. Okay.
Children, we're almost 100% already, so they are doing a good job.
There you go. Now, pay attention to this. This is a mystery I have yet to solve. I'm holding in my hand from the Arquidiócesis de Guadalajara una copia del acta de matrimonio. I don't know if this is for a padrino for a child to be baptized, in which case it would go to Deacon Phil. I don't know if this is for a child or for a youth or for an adult, because it got sent to me from Mexico without any explanation, and I can't read people's minds. So I'm going to say this is a marriage certificate for Oscar Antonio Venegas Perez and Luz Maria Ramirez Alonso. Anybody recognize that as your sponsor? Deacon Phil still here? Where'd Deacon Phil go? Did he sneak out at the break? Ooh, he thought I'd never notice. Okay. Don't forget, again, if you're looking for something different, and if you're praying, hey, God, what do you want me to do for Lent? And you're still not getting an answer, don't forget the university series. And we still have some catalogs there. And some of you seem to really be interested in the one that's a week from this Thursday, April 3rd, the connection to Disney and faith. And that's real close. That's Sacred Heart in Ventura. So it's not too late for you to do that.
And my daughter's doing that one. And she's a Disney freak.
Oh, they know that. You haven't been here. We've been pumping it up. Okay. For the rest of this evening, we would like to help you focus on a very traditional prayer. It's a prayer that's commonly done during Lent. Makes sense, but it doesn't have to be just during Lent. And this is what we're going to do at the end of the evening. We're not going to pray the stations, but we're going to do a very short reflection that will tie together what your reflection so far has been. So for this Sunday's gospel and Friday, this Lent, if you're here for soup supper anyway, stay for stations after and actually go through that with the community, church community. So we finish about 6:30, we can put things away and walk right over to the church 7:15 for stations, okay? It's not mandatory, I'm not taking roll, I'm not gonna guilt you, but if you're here anyway, it's a great experience. And we'll set the stage for that tonight. Okay, so what is the Stations of the Cross? Well, it's a spiritual pilgrimage. So you remember Diana and I went on an actual pilgrimage. We got on a plane, we flew to a foreign country. We had 2 priests guide our group as we went to a number of different cities and went to holy places, reflected, experienced, were drawn deeper into our faith by these experiences. Stations of the Cross is a pilgrimage of prayer. It's a meditation on the meaning of Jesus's suffering and death, from his being condemned by Pilate until he is laid in the tomb. Stations of the Cross let me give you a little bit of origins. What you see here are pictures of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So it's a church within a church here. And so that older church inside is the original church, and then this larger basilica has been built around it to help protect it. But you can actually go down underground into the sepulchre where Jesus's body was laid. And you can see that's the picture on the right. So the idea of going to Jerusalem and walking what we call now the Stations of the Cross, or the Way of the Cross, goes all the way back to the 4th century, the 300s, when it was legal to be Catholic. And pilgrims would come from all of the then known world to the Holy Land. And it would end here at this site, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's often called the Via Dolorosa in Spanish. That's what it would be called, or the Sorrowful Way. And it's a route of pilgrims trying to retrace the steps from Pilate's Praetorium all the way to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. By the way, the steps of going up to Pilate's Praetorium, the tradition is that they were taken from the Holy Land and brought to Rome. And they're right outside in a little shrine, half a block away from the Church of St. John Lateran, where one of the 4 holy doors for the Jubilee. So Dan and I got to actually, we didn't walk. The tradition is to go up that on your knees in prayer. Very beautiful. But it starts with that. Now, it still exists today, but we can't say for sure this is exactly Jesus's route. Do you know why? Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans in the year 70, about 37 years, 35 years after Jesus died. And it was rebuilt. And because there were no pictures and there was no record of the exact journey itself, it's a best guess kind of thing. But it goes through Jerusalem's old city. The exact location still a little bit unknown, but early pilgrims did their best at rebuilding these stations. Returning pilgrims would then share, just like Diana and I shared a little bit about our pilgrimage with you, what that experience was like. And the reality was most people could not go and experience that in their lifetime. Number one reason, they were poor, couldn't afford it. Number two reason, it was dangerous. Okay. So St. Francis of Assisi, just like, do you remember the tradition of the Christmas creche was St. Francis, that he had a live version of the nativity scene so people could connect with Jesus and his incarnation. He's God, but he's one of us. He also, tradition has it, he came up with the Stations of the Cross so that you would have these stations outside or inside the church, and you would physically walk them. And that was your way of going on a prayerful pilgrimage. By the 19th century, so the 1800s, every church around the world has Stations of the Cross in their church or outside on their grounds. Here, we've talked about this before, but it's every Friday in Lent, all the way up to April 11th. Why won't we have it on April 18th, do you think? It's Good Friday. And traditionally, we don't have it on Good Friday. I mean, in the church, in the rubrics, but here we still have a tradition. We'll have a live Stations of the Cross, but it won't be at 7:15. So take a look. I think it's like 3:30 after the Divine Mercy service. But there are particular liturgies, and Diana will be going over this. It'll be part of our retreat experience of the meaning of Holy Thursday, what that liturgy is like, Good Friday and Easter Vigil. And we have a short adoration benediction afterwards too. So if you've never prayed benediction, you'll get a chance to see that. All right. And this Friday, we can do it together, as many of us as possible. Okay. Now, you notice that there are small purple crosses in the center of your table. Please, everybody take one and a pen. As I said, in a moment, we'll go across the street to the church, and I'm going to lead you through a simple reflection. Don't do anything with these crosses till we get to the church. And if you don't hear me now, I'm not going to do a lot of repetition in the church because it's going to be a prayerful, reflective experience, okay? You've seen the big cross over by the font, right? With a bunch of these little crosses on there. Has anybody written anything and put it on that large cross yet? Okay. All right. So people are writing their petitions, what they are praying for, or what they're asking other people to pray for, and putting it on the cross. And you're welcome to do that. Tonight, I want you to consider doing something more specific, okay? Based on your reflection today that Diana led you through, in regards to the gospel we'll hear proclaimed Sunday, Jesus healing the man born blind. I want you to do two things. First, I want you to keep this in mind. Sunday will be the halfway point through Lent. Halfway. So throughout this week and up through Sunday, consider this. Good time to look at your attitudes, the way you're doing things. How is the light of Christ helping you see more clearly God's plan for you? Right? Jesus gave sight to the blind, light where there was darkness. Maybe some practical things you can consider. These are just examples. You might come up with your own. Identify a situation in your family, your school, your workplace, your neighborhood, your parish that is somehow dimming the light for you and those around you. What could you commit to? Some simple act that will bring light to that situation. Do you see why signs are so powerful? I could have just said, think about something you could commit to that would make things better. Use what God is using for us Sunday. Where do you see a dimming of light? How could you make it brighter? Something concrete. Maybe this is what would be good for you. Maybe it's committing from now to the end of Lent, at the end of each day, doing an examination of conscience. Start with what we would really call an examine. Start with this. Where did I recognize Jesus throughout the day? Because he's the light. And then you might even say, it might come to you, where did I miss Jesus? Where did I not see him? That was darkness. Ask Jesus to bring light to the darkness. Something simple. Maybe do this. Maybe go back and listen to the PowerPoint on the sacrament of reconciliation. If you made your first confession because you made your first communion, there's no reason why you can't be going to the sacrament again. We've mentioned it a few times. I heard one person today say, I finally decided this week to go back and had amazing experience. So maybe it's going back to that sacrament. And if you haven't received it yet, maybe go back and listen to the posted audio on the sacrament of reconciliation and let it sink more deeply in as you're getting closer to making your first confession. Just 3 concrete examples, okay? All right, we have about 15 minutes, a couple of minutes to walk over. What we're going to do is this. With that all in your mind, I want you to walk the Stations of the Cross in absolute silence. I'll show you the first one and how we go around. Okay? However long you want to pause at each one. Just look at the image without any kind of prayer or explanation. And see if you identify with any of these images or any of these stations. Maybe that's going to be your commitment for this week. Maybe the rest of Lent. So whatever it is, your commitment to seeing the light, bringing light to the darkness, connecting to any of those particular stations, write your commitment on your cross And when you're ready, go pin it to the large cross. Does that make sense for everybody? Lots of options there. Okay, you can leave your things here, right, Dana? You're gonna, are you staying or not? Or should we just lock the door?
Yeah, we're just gonna pick things up. Take your things if you want to, or we're just gonna put them up on the stage, because we're gonna start cleaning them up.
Okay, what I heard her say was, bring things with you. Your journals, you'll put back over on the table on the way out. And if you don't want to bring something with you, you can put it on the stage and it will be safe, right? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just got the question. Are we writing on these? Bring your cross, bring a piece of paper. Bring a pen, bring your cross, bring a pen. And when you finish walking the stations, you'll write your commitment on the cross and pin it on the large cross.